Hi guys, Alex Simpson from the Apex Racing Academy. For the past 2 years I've been teaching sim racers how to improve both on and off track, and I've got another great training video for you today. If you haven't seen my previous videos, please go and check them out. The link to those videos are in the description below. In that first video we talk about preparation, why it's so important to be prepared before entering a race, the things you need to do to be prepared. I included in that video a PDF, a kind of like checklist of everything you need to do, everything I do certainly before you enter a race to try and minimise anything that could go wrong. I also included in that PDF guide links to 2 very useful pieces of software that pretty much myself and every Apex Racing UK WCS driver uses on a weekly basis before we enter a WCS race, where you can download those pieces of software from and guides to actually use those pieces of software as well. In the second video we spoke about setups, why setups are so important, not only to get hold of a custom one that's built for a particular track, but also to tailor a setup to your own driving style, the extra time that you can find by just having that extra comfort by tweaking a set just to fit your own style. I also included in that video my setup process for the Williams FW31. While we don't use the car now, it pretty much covers every single setup option that you'll come up with any car on iRacing, how to tweak it, where to tweak it, and a kind of a structure to build the setup in a sort of step-by-step guide that will give you an end result of a car that feels very, very comfortable for you to drive. You can find those extra 2 or 3 tenths of a second that you've perhaps been missing by using one of the custom sets that you just grabbed from the forum. Okay, so thanks for checking out the previous 2 videos. It's been really good for me to be able to share with you guys like my story, really, how I started off as a console racer. I had all the assists on, I was slow, I was struggling at the back, I was ready to quit racing for good. It thought, oh no, I just can't be dealing with this. This is not me. I don't want to get taken out, and you know, the importance of having your friends around you as well, just to keep you motivated. And then how I went on and I learned exactly what I needed to do. I turned the assists off, I got quicker, finished second in my first series, won the season after that in the PS3 F1 2010 leagues. I step up to iRacing, ready, all cocksure to go and just teach everybody, who I was and what I was all about, and yeah, being completely humbled on the track, and all of the processes that I needed to go through to figure out exactly how to improve, how to race the Mazdas as quick as I possibly could. Got to the point where we won a few races, and we stepped up again, and we looked at more high performance cars again, and being way off the pace again, and having to go through the same processes again, reaching out to the community, finding everything I possibly could, using tools and tips and programs to improve again on track, being convinced to go for my Pro Series license, and again it was the same thing again, being completely humbled and destroyed on track. And that's really what led me into building my own setups for my own driving style, and how that sort of unlocked another 2 or 3 tenths of a second a lap time for me. And again, that opened up the Pro Series. I was able to win a Pro Series race, and to really where we are today, which is in the World Championship. This is the 3rd year that I've been in there now. We've got a brand new car, McLaren MP430. It's great to drive, fits my driving style really well. I'm having a lot of fun with the car as well, and it's good to see that the grid is just as competitive as ever, and I'm gonna have to step up my game again. And before we sort of talk about this season, I just want to obviously say, about 5 months ago it sort of occurred to me in the 2nd season in the World Championship that if I'm ever going to sort of get top 10 results and maybe even some podiums, there's something just missing in my game, and I wanted to sort of figure out what that was. And there was a video that was released, I think Sean Cole did it, an interview with Atsi Kirchhoff, and he was talking that a very similar story in a sense that he'd come up through the ranks, and his teammates just seemed to have this natural ability to do certain things that he couldn't, and he was a bit like, well, what am I going to do about this? And he reached out, and he's really trained himself, and I think that's his sportsmanship that comes into it. And he reached out to Fabio Martins from the DeRose method, and it was all about sort of his human performance and how that he could actually improve the person sat behind the steering wheel, because often we think about how can we improve the setup to improve time. How can oh, let's change our steering wheel. This is a better steering wheel. This is going to find me some time. Oh, these are better pedals. We'll upgrade to a 144 hertz monitors. It'll be a bit smoother, or we're graphics improve so we can see everything a little bit more. Better frame rates. Anything and everything to try and improve on track, but we often forget about the driver sat behind the steering wheel. And I think it was that interview really sort of reached out to me, and it was like, well, I do these things all now. This is what I do. I've tried to improve my system that I run on, but I never focus on me and what I'm doing. And this video really today is all about human performance, and some of the things that I've done to try and improve. But mainly, I'm just going to have a chat with Fabio. He's been great, and he's come on board, and he's helped a lot with myself and Sebastian as well. We're both in the DeRose method right now, and he's going to help out in the academy as well for season 2, which is great. So again, worth checking that out. And in today's video, we're going to have a little interview with him. We're going to talk a few different things, and we're also going to just sort of touch on a subject that was brought up actually in the academy, which was about when drivers, when you tense up when you're in races, how to avoid tensing up. And actually Fabio doesn't talk about how you should avoid it, but how you should embrace it, how you should use that feeling to actually maximize your performance. So what I'll do is we'll just head over to the little interview that I've had. I hope you really enjoy this video. I'll be back after this, and we'll just have a little breakdown. We'll talk about the upcoming video that's going to be after this one as well. And again, as week 13 is very much upon us as well, we'll talk about what we're going to do in week 13 when the Academy 2.0 classes are going to go up. We'll talk about everything we're going to do with the Formula Renault 2.0 and the McLaren MP40. But anyway, here's a little interview that I did with Fabio earlier on today.
Okay, so my name is Fabio Martins. I am one of the owners of the DeRose method in Tribeca in New York City. I've been practicing the DeRose method since 2000, and I became a teacher in 2008. And part of my work has been really involving maximizing the performance of different race car drivers. I fell in love with racing when I was a tiny little kid watching F1 in the 80s. And it's something that stayed with me. I was also an iRacer. I no longer subscribe to the system because I have a son. And that means I don't really get to drive much. So there's no point being part of the system. But I'm very much involved with it. I've trained a lot of WCS drivers, current and past, and real-world drivers as well.
Now, we were saying a little bit off air, obviously a lot of people will have heard about the DeRose method. There's been quite a few sim racing videos that have gone out about DeRose, and it's great to actually put a face to the name. Is it just yourself that does the courses with the sim racers, or does Rick as well do the odd few?
Well, the DeRose method is very large. It started in 1960. And it's comprised today of something like 93 different schools in 14 different countries. It's a very large, extensive network. And there is a guy, for example, a friend of mine, a good mate, that teaches a real-world bike rider. I think he is on a 250s in South America. There's another one that's teaching a South American stock car driver. All in all, in our network, there are many different students and types of students. Specifically in our school, because we have a passion for this, we ended up having a lot of different race car drivers. Our particular school has 4 different teachers, and all of us have students that are racers. I may end up with the lion's share of the sim racers because I enjoy that market a lot, and I used to be one myself. But there's myself, there is Rick, there is Gus, there is Nuno, and all of us are teaching both real life and sim racers.
So I've got to ask the question: is there any names that you can drop from the students that you have in both the sim and the real world?
Yes and no. There are some students that rather we didn't talk too much about their names, but a lot of them actually talk about it because of the effect that the method had in them. They can say, wow, this has been really awesome. I'm sure that the first one that will come to mind is Atse. I started working with Atse Kirchhoff in 2012, and he had a boost in performance, and we've become really good mates as well. And actually, it took me from around mid 2012 when we started work until the start of 2014 when we finally met face to face. All our work had been done online. and and actually, no, 2015 was the first because he was in a flight that ended up having a layover here in New York. And I actually had my son on my arms, and I made a point of going to JFK and meet him up and put a face, a real face to a person. I've also worked with Sean Cole. I've worked with Frank Levick, that was also doing WCS. And we worked with some real sim drivers, somebody like Joan Simzak, that's doing Blank Pan this last season. And this season we got Christian Simzik that's doing MX5s and Continental sports cars here in the US. And Roy Gertz, who was doing at the time Formula Renault 1.6, then 2.0, and then he jumped over to the RS01, which is an awesome GT car that generates single seater level of downforce. Very cool cars.
Yeah, and we've had some great classes with Roy as well. So
Yeah. And it actually it's very fun to have these students because we can actually interact between the sim drivers and the real drivers and interchange that experience. And uh, when I train them, to me, there's just drivers. It doesn't matter if the expression of that driving takes place with or without G forces.
yeah, I mean we do exactly the same class, obviously, don't we? So when Roy jumps on, it's no different.
I'd like to think not. As far as I'm concerned, the skill set that is required, and I guess we should explain a little bit about, in better terminology, what the DeRose method is doing. Because ultimately, our objective with this methodology is to understand the human that I'm working with so I can optimize the potential in the human side. So if you will, a human performance level. We often think about that we need to maximize the performance of our cars, of our tires, the grip levels, the mechanical and aero grips, and all these things. And yet we forget that there is a human individual who most likely isn't a robot, although in some cases there's some discussion. And we try to then maximize that individual's performance, be it in a setting in your living room or in a setting where you're going to end up starting in your living room, going back to real cars and find yourself in the race of champions, as was the case with another one of our students, Des Foley. So as far as I'm concerned, the skill set of maximizing that individual is going to take place anywhere. And to the extent where this method isn't for race drivers, we just managed to fine tune it quite well and extract the techniques that are going to be really useful in race driving. But our school here in New York is very close to Wall Street, very close to the World Trade Center. Most of our local students are, in fact, working with banking. And the pressures that you feel as an executive are not all that different to the pressures that you feel doing a quali lap.
Yeah, I mean, interesting you bring up about the pressures and things like that as well, because now, personally, obviously, I help run two small family businesses as well as the Apex team, and it's been pretty full on. You'll agree with me. These last sort of 2 months have been pretty crazy
Yeah.
for me as well, and I have to say, managing that, just being able to unplug as well for an hour with yourself twice a week makes quite a difference just to be able to just take it aside and just relax for a second.
Well, that's the thing. Oftentimes we associate the end result with one of the elements of this end result, which is this feeling of, wow, the pressure is being lifted. But we tend to communicate that state as feeling relaxed as opposed to the pressures being lifted. But if I was going to ask you at the end of a session that we do together, do you feel relaxed, ready for bed? You turn around and say, actually, no, I feel relaxed, ready to go out and do a race simulation. I feel like I have more energy. And so the word relaxed oftentimes is a little bit a misconception in that sense.
And actually,
But
you say that it was exactly Seb's reaction Friday night session, wasn't it? You know, you were like,
Mhm.
right, you go, and he was just eager to get out there and jump in the car more than anything. He was like, I want to race.
Exactly. Well, he had his whole week. He had a school exam during the week, and then at the end of the week on Friday night, he was like, "Wow, man, I feel tired. Oh God, I still got to do something with Fabs." And I did some physical training also, and he knew what we were going to push. And even though we used all the techniques that we do in class, he was still feeling that energy level. It's just that the pressures that tend to get us caught up in the day to day were lifted. And so it was a lot easier to perform and to extract that maximum potential.
Yeah, it's quite remarkable actually. You know, from my own point of view, when you know we've had classes and I've said, you know, I'm physically exhausted, mentally drained, and you know I come out of them and I'm, you know, buzzing, ready to go again.
And this is one of the important things in this method. Exactly. This is one of the important things because a lot of times, if you go, say, to a sports psychologist, and some of our high level sportsmen have sports psychologists, there's a lot of things going on that you talk about, but it ends up being just a chat. And we define this kind of chat as concepts. In this method, it's important to have these concepts to say, how am I going to approach a conflicting situation? How am I going to deal better with my teammates? How am I going to improve my relationships? Those are not things that we can physically do, but they are things that we can discuss and find better strategies. We call those concepts. On the other hand, this method is very unique because it doesn't stay there. It has techniques to back that up. So when I say to you, for example, oh, we had a huge argument with this person, how do we fix up this relationship? I say, well, maybe you need to say sorry to them first, and this will untrap their mindset, will surprise them, and it will allow you to communicate. It is not just an empty word. We have techniques that are going to help you to execute that action. My favorite example is really comes from the work that we've been doing with sim racers and racers, which is quali. Every single driver will feel tension before a qualifying lap. And very, very few drivers are able to get close to their optimal or be at a level that really the qualifying lap was their best. And the reason being is because we have a ton of pressures, a ton of things around it, and every sports psychology is going to turn around to you and say, well, you have is just another lap. You're going to turn hundreds of laps. It's going to be easy. But just saying that doesn't change that butterflies in your tummy, doesn't change the tension in your shoulders, doesn't change your awareness that you're not driving smoothly. And so that's where the second element of the method, the techniques, are so powerful because they give you the tools, the hammer, the chisel, the screwdriver, the wrench, to understand yourself, to fine tune the human machinery so that you can actually deliver on that promise. Oh, yeah, it's just another lap. I feel good, I can deliver it. And help that feeling of tension and pressure to escape.
Gonna help us a little bit with the Academy 2.0 and some of the drivers that are going to be joining that. Going to give a little bit of input and advice behind the scenes on there.
Well, maybe we should go back a few steps and talk about the context of how this conversation really started. Because you and I were talking one day, and you mentioned about the academy. I signed up, I went into the forums, and I noticed that there were a few topics that mentioned not the sort of technical element of driving, what is my best ideal trail braking technique, but other softer elements that weren't necessarily so related. And we had that in a discussion, and you mentioned that you were having these ideas about an upgrade to the academy, which I thought was amazing. And in this conversation, we thought, wouldn't it be great to provide a little bit of a resource to the guys that sign up for the new academy to be able to actually understand their human performance element. And in addition to optimize their driving technique, their on-packed racing, their skill set throughout the actual racing element, but also a little bit of the human. One of the topics that seemed to be very popular in the thread was about being tense while driving and the impact that that has on the performance and on the execution of the techniques. And so I thought, well, maybe this is a good place for us to get started. There's definitely a need for this. And I think that if somebody has this element added to their driving, we can make it that much better racers. We can have that much better results for the academy. And so as a result, we've created a special area to have some questions and answers.
Yeah, there was just to actually talk about that thread again, just for a second. There was quite a lot of different sort of thoughts in there as well as to why they were tensing up, how they can get over it as well. So, which was, from a pure community point of view, which was great to see. And then of course that thread started to grow and grow and grow, and that's really what sort of you caught your attention as well. And
Absolutely.
I believe you've done like a little basic PDF guide for us that we're going to be able to give away to the viewers and the students as well.
One of the things that even I haven't been a DeRose teacher all my life. When I started in 2000, I was in business. I was an executive at a company. I had several different challenges within that, and I had a lengthy career. I spent 15 years in corporate life. And the only reason why I left corporate life is that this one is better. I get to work with much more fun people instead of helping people sell more shampoo, which maybe not be the ideal thing for me. But one of the things that I've learned in this process is that the promise that what we can actually deliver with the method, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, is almost difficult to explain. You have to feel it. And my reaction when I first started practicing this method was very similar. It was like, wow, this seems too good to be true. There seems to be something that's not quite right here, until I experienced the results. I was like, oh wow, I need to make this get more involved and eventually get involved enough to become a teacher and even own a business that delivers it. But what we wanted to do was to say, well, let's try to bridge that gap a little bit. Let's make sure that people understand that this isn't some fairy dust that goes onto thing. It's a very practical and useful element. And so what we thought is, we like the approach. I think that what you're doing with the Apex Academy is really good. We need to have better competition, higher level individuals competing in all sim racing for it to be taken more seriously. And so if we can help to further that level a little bit more, why not? And so my idea was to write a text to be able to allow the people to answer this question. What can we do about tensing up? Is there anything that can be done to improve and maintain that high level of performance? And so that's where we went.
Yeah, awesome. Appreciate that. And even as a student of the method as well, just reading it through just brings home a couple of of key points. You just think, yep. That's the only way to describe it. Yep. And it's like it's so obvious, but sometimes you just don't. You just need a gentle reminder as well. I think.
And it's very much what you said at the very beginning of this process of the 2.0 Academy. Oftentimes people are going to turn around and have two big non-starters and say, well, this is not right, or I don't agree, or this is too simple, and forget the very basic thing like mapping a DRS button to the steering wheel. And sure, there are a lot of details, and we can never underestimate the impact that some of these tiny details can make in the overall performance. And the Apex Academy 2.0 is going to help people become aware of those and thread them all together to, I believe, raise their level of performance.
Something that you often mention in our classes, especially sort of the theory parts of it as well, is that, not resetting the human, and we touch on that a little bit in the guide as well. And you're right. It's so sim racing just to go out there and pound the laps. Crash, go again, go again, go again, and really what we're trying to do is just sort of open up and just realize, well, hold on a minute, there's a car, there's the setup, You know, there's all the gear that you sat in or behind or whatnot, but there, you know, there's another element as well, and it's the, you know, it's the person sat behind the wheel, and we often forget about that aspect as well.
Absolutely. And if you think of how much time any average sim racer has invested on discovering exactly what hardware their favorite sim driver is using, what's their level of force feedback, what is their setup, what is their secret sauce of why they can be so quick, if we could invest 10% of that time into how am I feeling today? Am I concentrated? Am I just repeating my mistakes without really noticing? Am I conditioning myself to crash on turn 4 every time I go around it? What can I do to actually get out of that rut and actually increase the performance? And I was reading something recently that I found very interesting, is that people, they seem to think that they will reach success, the average person, by just doing what they're doing. Whilst the really successful people, and I think I identified with your story when you were describing that you were suffering through rookie. I suffered through rookie as well. 12 weeks in the solstice was not fun. But that process says, well, if I actually want to be in a different level of performance, I need to invest. I need to put in time. I need to train. I need to study. And as you told that story of how you've been handed yourself in a plate and then started to elevate your performance once again, explain to me why you're going to remain consistently and successful. Because you are investing in all these elements. And the other thing that allowed me to make this statement is the fact that we started working way before this process of the academy started. You were already still looking for how can I optimize my performance? What are the different elements? We just happened to open a door that you didn't realize led to a very deep hole.
Yep, yeah, indeed. And a lot of work, but it's well been worth it. That's for sure. I'm quite looking forward to next season actually, and seeing everything come together. You know, with all of the World Championship drivers on there helping out. You know, yourself in there too, as well as all of the hardware advice from, you know, and tips and tricks that are coming from all the rest of the Apex members as well. It's not just the 8 pro drivers, well, 9 pro drivers, and yourself. Yeah. So it's quite a team behind it.
We can already start to see some of the results. I think that Seb's performance in the WCS races so far this season have been amazing. And be it on the front or coming from the back of the field, the level of concentration required, the level of stamina, even the mindset to say, oh, I'm not in my ideal quality position, it's okay, let me focus on the job at hand and do my best, is what causes, I don't know, I watch the streams and people keep on commenting on yours and his performance, and I'm thinking, I wonder if that's by chance.
Maybe not. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. It's been great to get Fabio on for a chat. I've seen lots of videos in the past where we talked about, you know, Fabio and DeRose, and it's great to be able to put a face to the name. You know, technology might have let us down a couple of places. You know, we're a little bit of stutter here and there, but you know, we wouldn't disconnect or blink every now and again if it was if we had a perfect internet. When I think about the method, and you know, myself and personally how it's how I've improved. When I first sort of started to look at it, you know, I saw the video from Sean and from Atsu, and for me it was all about the racing. I had issues that, you know, I knew that needed to work on. You know, the qualifying was a real issue for me. I used to get so nervous, you know, the butterflies in the stomach before qualifying. You know, we've only got 2 laps to 3 laps technically, to get the best possible time, and you know, getting the right foot to function properly while it's trying to shake all over the place and the knees chattering away. It's just crazy. Those, you know, that was a real key issue to me. In the race as well, I used to beat myself up and get red mist, and that was just over making silly little mistakes on my own. So, you know, half a second I would lose or something like that with you know, just running wide or something like that. And I just used to spend the next 2 or 3 laps just, you know, kicking myself about it because I'd lost an opportunity to overtake, you know, It's sod's law, isn't it? You make a mistake and you drop back half a second, and then of course, you know, half a lap later, the person you were trying to overtake does a similar mistake, and you just think, well, if I hadn't done that, I'd have had him. So, and yeah, that was a big issue for me, and you know, those things now have, you know, completely transformed. You know, the qualifying now are much more focused on qualifying. You know, I use the nerves that there to sort of to ramp up the performance. You might not believe it looking at the Phillip Island qualifying, but what you're going to do when you get one lap and you have a massive lockup, and you know, you're just grateful that you get a time in that gets you on the grid. I guess the key thing was that is I didn't spend all race long kicking myself for such a bad qualifying. I just got on with the race and, you know, worked my way up and picked up 14 places and you know, got a reasonable result in the end. And when I also think about the method, I have to obviously look at how it's transformed outside of racing as well. So many sort of byproducts to what we've done. You know, like I say, I went into it 100% focused on the racing. And you know, I wanted to get out of it. You know, what sort of Atsy was saying, he's really got out of it. That was the real driving force behind it. But you know, I'm a sim racer. I'll sit here now and I won't beat around the bush. And you know, I'm not a particularly fit person. I, you know, don't go out running, mountain biking or anything like that. There's you know, there's a little beer belly there. But I just think about the transformation my body's seen in 5 months is pretty staggering. I've got so much more core strength now, so much more flexible, lost a fair amount of weight too, and that really is a byproduct of the method. It's not the key focus of you know, what they teach. It's just part and parcel of the class, and what we have to do just really transforms that. So I feel a lot better in myself, you know, my body as well. A lot more confidence too. But not only has it helped with that side of things as well, it's helped sort of outside mentally as well. So I'm talking about my work life as well. The transformation I've seen. You know, I run 2 small businesses, an IT and a telecoms business, as well as obviously the team. And sometimes I just got so much on, you know, trying to prioritize what I need to do to make sure I hit certain deadlines and things like that. Just become, you know, sometimes you just used to get too much, and I was just like, you know, I just used to take a half hour away, just walk away for half an hour, and just sort of get myself focused, and you know, just be a load of time lost. But now I've just got the ability just to take like 30 seconds. I can just sort of, you know, reset myself in, you know, 30 seconds to a minute, just using some of the techniques from the method. It's just you know, it's just crazy the difference, and you know, from a work point of view, you know, how much more productive I am, and how much more relaxed, and you know, just outside of work as well. You know, sometimes when you're just physically drained and shattered, you know, I've done classes, and you know, I've said to Fabio, you know, look, I'm just out of it. I've got nothing, you know, mentally drained, and you know, I can finish a class and I'm just buzzing, ready to go again. I'm like, right, let's go do some racing, let's do some testing. You know, do 2 hours of testing, where, you know, before the class I just wanted to spend, you know, all night in bed watching some telly. It's just crazy. So you know, I want to sit here and sort of say thanks to Fabio now for the past 5 months, and you know, I'm looking forward to what the next 5 months are going to bring. Just to sort of reset back to you guys, I think you know, if you're interested in what, you know, either of us spoke about today, and you think, well, you know, I'd like to dip my toes in the water and see what this is all about, well, Fabio's going to be helping out in the Academy 2.0 classes next season. So if you're interested in driving the Formula Renault 2.0 or the McLaren MP430 for season 2 2016, just in case you're watching this back much later on, he's going to be in there. We're setting up a special forum for 2.0 members where Fabio's going to answer your questions. He's not going to be able to give everything away. He's not going to be able to send you through a full class or anything like that. But he's going to be able to give you useful tips and guides, much like the PDF that's attached with this video. So, you know, for that, just a reminder, link in the description below. That will send you to our forum. You can download that from there, and you know, use those techniques to sort of keep yourself from getting tense in the race. But yeah, so like I say, if you just want to dip your toes, perfect opportunity to do that. and then if you decide you like it, then you can come and join us in a class. One of the great things that we do with the class, you can do it from all over the world. With myself and Sebastian, we do it. We're on Skype, and we've had classes with real race drivers, other DeRose methods, from Costa Rica to Brazil to London. It's been it's great. We meet some awesome people on there as well, and it'd be great to have some additional sim racers in there as well. We all follow the same sort of passion, and some of the things we can learn, and together just be absolutely awesome. So like I say, if you're interested, head on over to one of the Academy 2.0 classes, just to sort of talk about those just for a second, because that's really what we're going to focus on in the next video, is going to be about those classes that are coming up next season. So sign-ups for those are going to go up on week 13, probably around about Wednesday or Thursday time. I'm hoping to get it on Wednesday, so when the build is out, just after the build is out, once everybody's finished having a play with the new cars, obviously 4 new cars to have a mess around with, then we'll put up sign-ups to them. They're going to be limited to 30 people, so it's not a great deal of room. It's going to be on a first come first serve basis. It's not going to be any priority or anything like that to any friends or anything like that. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel, on the social media. As soon as we put the video up, then we're going to basically open up sign-ups, but we're going to cover exactly what it is we're going to be doing in the next video, in the 2.0, to give you a sort of a behind the scenes peek look at exactly what we're going to be doing. And it's so much different from the current Academy. Right now, obviously, you get in there, we help out a lot. It's more of a big Q&A forum right now, with the pro guys sharing some setups, hot laps, ice speeds, telemetry data, and reviewing other people's laps and trying to give tips on how they can find time on the track. Going into so much more detail, all about sort of ice speed, Motec, full lap tutorials. Don't want to go into too much detail right now, but if you're interested, tune into the next video. So much more detail in there, and how to sign up for those classes are going to be in there. Just want to say right now, thank you for tuning into this. Will be the 3rd video. Like I say, if you hadn't seen them before, make sure you go and check out the other 2 videos as well. I've really appreciated the comments that you guys have given me in the first couple of videos. When I see comments about that it was such an inspirational video and things like that, I'm a pretty shy person, and to do something like this, it was certainly outside of my comfort zone. But you guys have made it worth it by just leaving those comments that you've done, and this is why really I'm doing the next 2 or 3, and I think moving forward we're going to do a lot more. And I definitely feel passionate about doing those Twitch streams that I talked about in the last video, which is where we're going to take a baseline setup and build it and turn it into a car and track specific setup on iRacing's Twitch channel next season. I'll do that. We'll share everything, camera, everything will all be turned on as well, because you guys have made me realise that it's worth doing, and you guys appreciate what we're doing. So, but for right now, thank you again for tuning into the video. Give me some feedback, anything, any questions or anything like that you want me to to put to Fabio now that we might be able to answer in the final video. Then just drop them in the comments below. Head on over to the forum, post in there as well. Like I say, if you haven't shared or posted questions in the previous videos, then just do that as well. Our free area is becoming a little bit more active every day. Really, new members are joining that as well. So before long, we'll be putting up the threads where we're going to share all the setups for next season. Of course, 2.0 coming out in just a few days as well, so we'll be sharing sets in there as soon as possible as well. But again, thank you very much for watching. Please just hit the share button, hit the like button below, and we'll see you in a few days time for the 4th and final video.